student friends, a very warm greetings on behalf of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. This tele lesson is for the MBA first semester, first year students, paper 1 on management processes. Today's topic is management practices in advanced countries. Dear students, in today's tele lesson, we are going to cover first a brief introduction on why management practices and what are the management practices in advanced countries. Then we will learn the best practices in USA, best practices in Japan and best practices in China. So, these are the topics what we are going to cover in today's tele lesson, dear students. Now, to introduce you all to this topic of management practices in advanced countries. The field of management, if you see, my dear students, was conceived and developed predominantly in USA, with some recent inputs coming from other industrialized countries like Europe, Asia and the Japanese management practices in 1980s and early 1990s. So, normally this concept of management or the theories which were management related theories were earlier conceived and developed only in developed countries like United States of America. As such, most of the management related theories that have been produced and researched are based on circumstances in the developed countries, not on the developing countries or underdeveloped countries. Thus, the theories, the management theories which have been evolved over a period of years include biases and assumptions that will likely make them inapplicable in developing countries. So, that is the reason why, my dear students, we normally hear that American firms are the world best managed. American companies such as GE, Apple, IBM, McDonald's and Walmart are icons of business, and US business schools which train top level managers like the Harvard Business School, etc. of these firms dominate global rankings. This was not always the case earlier, my dear students. However, like in the 1980s, for example, the Japanese firms from the 1980s and 1990s, the Japanese firms were regarded by many as the best managed in the world. So, on this backdrop, my dear student, the present lesson is to understand how and why management practices vary across countries as well as across firms and industries. Like for example, my dear students, if you take a toothpaste, what we use in the morning, there are n number of brands. All the toothpaste, all the brands what we see in the supermarket shelf are not manufactured and made in India. Or take the example of any product what you use every day. From the toothpaste, it may be the mobiles what you use, the laptops what you use, the conditioners or the shampoos what you use, the water, simple water what you drink. Most of them are not manufactured in India, or all the products whatever is manufactured in India is not sold in India. The market has become global. Products are manufactured somewhere, sold elsewhere. So, that is the reason why understanding how organizations in different countries adapt, resist and generally manage themselves may be one of the key success factors for global business activities in the new country. So, that is the reason why we have to know what are the different management practices which are across different countries, because what we manufacture here in India is not sold in India. We make our presence felt in different countries across the globe. So, my dear students, now let us try to understand in this particular tele lesson what is the secret of successful companies. How do successful companies manage themselves in different countries wherever they sell their products. So, now that is the reason why, as I have told you, dear students, managers now need to think globally even while operating in the domestic market. Organizations are losing out market shares even in their domestic market because of competition from foreign companies. Like for example, if you take the example of a college, let's suppose I want to start a university or a college. There are so many foreign universities and colleges which from other countries which are being setting up in our own country. So, there is so much of competition which is happening. Or let us take the simple example of the water what we drink. All the water bottles what we drink is not manufactured in India. There are so many foreign companies which manufacture the bottles and which we drink every day in our day-to-day life. So, dear students, understanding management with a global perspective has now become important. Like the example of the toothpaste what I have given you, the simple toothpaste what we use every day. All the brands of toothpaste which is sold in our country is not manufactured in our country, or all the toothpaste what we in our country, India, manufacture is not sold in our own country, it is sold in other countries as well. So, managers now need to think globally even while operating in the domestic market. So, in this tele-lesson, dear students, we will try to understand what are the management practices which are adopted in developing countries or developed countries. So, in this lesson, my dear students, first let us start with the best practices in USA. This will be divided into two parts. First, let us try to understand what are the business environment and culture of USA. Then we will learn the management practices adopted in USA, that is planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling practices adopted in United States of America. So, first my dear students, let us talk about the best practices in United States of America. The United States is a diverse country with many customs and tradition. It is difficult to be specific about US culture because of the many regional, religious and national differences which that particular country has. Here are some of the key values and generalities that might help you as a student to understand their culture and in future do business in the United States of America. So, my dear students, first let us try to understand the different business environment and cultural factors of United States of America. The first environmental and cultural factors of USA is people in the US are curious, that is they will ask you a lot of questions. Some of the questions may appear to you ridiculous, uninformed and biased or basic also, but it is not as simple as it looks to be. They are trying to be patient in answering them. You should be patient in answering them. The reason is you may be the first person from your country whom they have met and they will have a very little understanding of your life. So, that's a reason why most people are sincerely interested in learning about you. That's a reason why they ask you a lot of questions. So, we have to be patient in answering their questions. So, people in US, one, are curious. Second is they make lot of conversation. Most people do not talk about religion, politics or personal feelings or about their private life with strangers in United States of America. People do not usually talk about the personal lives. This emotional distance does not mean that they do not like people, but personal lives are discussed only with close friends and family. So, people in US are curious. Second, they make conversations. The third environmental and cultural factor of United States of America, my dear students, are they are more independent and self-reliant. That is, people think of themselves first. People in the United States of America do not think about themselves as a representative of their families or community or social class from which they belong to. Like you can see examples of individualism in the classroom as well. Like in classroom, teachers ask students to be independent and individualistic, to work alone and to make original work. So, the third environmental and cultural factor in USA, my dear students, is in US people are independent and they are self-reliant. The fourth one is, my dear students, equality. If you see in United States of America, there is equality everywhere. It is a common practice to wait in lines, like when you go to a bank, when you go to a post office, when you go to a school or a college or a mall. You will be asked to take a number and wait, regardless of how important or how small your need is. You will be treated like everyone else. It is first come, first served. So, everybody is treated equally in United States of America. That is another environmental and cultural factor, dear students. The next one is punctuality. Many people in the US are very punctual and organize their activities around schedules. Being late is extremely rude in United States of America. If you cannot be on time, you have to inform them that you will be late. For business appointments, you should always arrive few minutes early. This is what is the business environment and culture of United States of America. Let us also look into few other environmental and cultural factors of USA, my dear students. The competition is very tough, dear students. They allow only the best managed firms to survive. Human beings or employees working in an organization, that is human capital, is considered to be very, very important. The labor hours are very flexible. It is very easy to hire people in America as well as to fire them. It is easy to enter into an organization. Also, it is easy to get out of an organization in United States of America. And another one, my dear students, is more importance to individual interest rather than group interest is given. That is, as employees move from one organization to another organization for better opportunities. So there is employees keep on moving from one company to another for rapid career progress. So individual interest is more important rather than a group interest, and employees avoid giving extensive training. As I have just now told you, employees shift from one organization to another organization if they get a better opportunity. So employees working in the organization are not given extensive training. They are given specific training to employees for specific tasks. Now, my dear students, let us try to understand the management practices which are adopted in United States of America, that is planning practices in USA, organizing in USA, staffing in USA, coordinating and controlling in USA. Let us try to understand each and every one in detail. So, planning in United States of America, my dear students, American managers usually adopt planning with short-term orientation. Decision making is responsibility of individual managers, that is, production manager makes decision related to the production department, marketing manager makes decisions related to the marketing department. And if you see, my dear students, decisions are made by the top management, and the decisions flows from top to bottom. Thus, a top down approach is used in the American organizations, and decision making is quick, but implementation is always slow, because often it has to flow from upper level to the lower level people in the organization. Coming to organizing, dear students, organizing in American firms is an individual responsibility and accountability. Decision responsibility is specific and will have lots and lots of clarity. Organization structures are formal and bureaucratic, and often there is lack of common organizational culture, that is, people are identified based on their profession, not by the company. Like I am identified by my profession, that is a teacher. I am not identified with the university in which I am working, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University. I am identified by my profession as a teacher, not in the organization in which I am working. Then comes staffing function, dear students. Employees are hired from schools and universities as well as other companies. Employees switch from one company to another company. Performance appraisal is quite frequent for new employees, and training and development programs are conducted for select employees with caution. The reason is employees may leave another firm very easily and very quickly. Coming to the directing function, dear students, the leader is the ultimate decision maker and gives direction to its group members. Communication is primarily top down. Individualism is exhibited by employees sometimes, which hinders cooperation in implementation of projects. That is, face-to-face confrontation is quite common between leaders and employees. That is, employees directly question the leader on any loopholes seen in the plan communicated to them. This brings more clarity among the employees about their role and implementation process. Finally, the controlling function in United States of America, dear students, control measures are initiated by superior in the firm. The focus of control is on individual performance. Responsibility for failure at any stage it may be, the production stage, the sales stage it may be, or the service stage, etc., is always fixed. The decision responsibility is easily traced to people, which demands more responsibility and commitment from individuals. And dear students, quality control circles are used in limited way by management to control quality. Now, my dear students, let us try to understand the best practices in the country Japan. In again this lesson, let us divide into two parts: the business environment and culture of Japan. Then let us know the management practices, that is planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling practices adopted in the country Japan. Now let us learn Japanese cultural values on building and maintaining business relationships and emphasize the importance of understanding these cultural values if the aim is to do business successfully in Japan. If you see, my dear students, inadequate knowledge of Japanese cultural values usually results in misunderstandings, complicates communications and hinders working in Japan. In international business, misrepresentation is not only a question of language, or misinterpretation is not only a question of language, but also of good intercultural communication, because the same word may have different meanings for different people of different cultures. So, in order to communicate adequately with Japanese people and do business, it is necessary to learn and understand their culture and customs as well. So, dear students, now let us try to understand the business environment and culture of Japan. So, self-control and self-discipline is the first environmental and cultural factor of Japan. So, what is it? In a situation of crisis, normally Japanese people will try to retain their self-control and self-discipline no matter what the situation is. That is, self-control means to be able to conceal one's feelings, emotions and reactions in any situation. That is, self-discipline is a capacity to pursue what one considers is correct despite temptations, despite whatever the situation may be. The second important environmental and cultural factor of Japan is importance of silence, dear students. There is a Japanese proverb to the effect that silence is golden. They believe that truth cannot be described verbally but exists only in silence, since although words are necessary to express concepts, language hinders a deeper understanding of the reality that exists beyond words. The third important environmental and cultural factor in Japan, my dear students, is perfection. Seeking perfection even in smallest matter is a cultural value that reflects the usually high level of quality and service in Japan. Then comes, dear students, flexibility to adapt changes. Japanese people are extremely flexible. They adapt to any situation very easily. Then comes another important environmental and cultural factor of Japan is, my dear students, membership of a group and cooperation within it. That is, Japanese society gives a great deal of importance to the group or community and to its social function as the nucleus around which the work and life revolves. Thus, the individual exists as a member of a group and his behavior should be always polite and appropriate to promote cooperation within it. The last important environmental and cultural factor of Japan is, my dear students, the importance of interpersonal relationship. That is, Japanese spend a lot of time and money in establishing interpersonal relationships before doing business, because they need to get to know a potential foreign customer, it may be a partner, it may be, with whom you are doing a business, as much as possible in order to understand how they act and be able to interpret their reactions before feeling confident while doing business with them. Dear students, another important environmental and cultural factor of Japanese people are the importance of avoiding direct confrontation and disputes. That is, harmony understood to be the avoidance of direct confrontation. That is, Japanese people, they normally avoid any direct confrontation because they feel it is their cultural value of the Japanese society. That is, they avoid personal confrontation in public, and it is a priority for them because they prefer to resolve conflicts through an indirect channel such as an informal meeting or a mediation or arbitration, but not through any direct confrontation. Also, dear students, if you see, organization is given precedence over the individual's personal interest in Japan. A culture of family exists in organization. There is lifetime employment guarantee for Japanese people. They prefer to train new employees over recruiting experienced individuals from other companies. Respect is an important environmental and cultural factor which prevails in all the Japanese organization. My dear students, now let us try to understand the management practices adopted in Japan. Now let us first try to learn what are the planning functions which are adopted in Japan. In Japanese firms, my dear students, Japanese managers adopt long-term planning orientation. They do not make decisions alone. They consult subordinates before they make final decisions. Managers wait till consensus is arrived on a particular issue. Thus, decision making is usually collective, top to bottom. Decisions are from bottom to top and again from top to bottom, both ways. From bottom to top, again from top to bottom. Decision making is normally slow, but implementation is fast. Now, let us look into the organizing function of the Japanese firm, dear students. The whole team, including manager and subordinates, assume responsibility and accountability for any decision that is taken. The team is responsible. Decision responsibility is therefore ambiguous. Informal organization structure is adopted, and organization culture and philosophy are communicated to employees to promote competitive spirit among the employees in the organization. Coming to the staffing function, dear students, young people are hired from schools and colleges as trainees. There is not much movement of employees from one company to another because employees are loyal for the organization for which they are working. Promotions are generally slow, but formal performance evaluation for new and young people are infrequent. Appraisals are done for long-term performance. Training and development are considered to be the long-term investment because people stay for a longer period of time in organization. In Japan, lifetime employment is common in large organization. That is, once you enter into an organization, you stay in the organization until you retire or for a longer period of time. Coming to the directing function, dear students, leaders act as a social facilitators and group mentors. Cooperation is facilitated by inculcating common values among employees. Confrontation is avoided, which sometimes lead to ambiguity. Leaders encourage subordinates to communicate their perspective on various issues. Finally, coming to the controlling function, dear students, control is done by peers. Team members control each other's efforts and direct them to focus on group performance. Quality control circles are extensively used by employees, and managers encourage employees to meet every day for some time during working hours in companies to discuss about ways to improve quality and productivity in organizations. So, meeting between the superiors and subordinates is very common in Japanese companies. Now after we have discussed the best practices in United States of America and the best practices of Japan, my dear students, now let us try to understand the best practices in China. Again, this will be divided into two sections, dear students. First, let us understand the business environment and culture of China. Then we will learn the management practices, that is planning, organizing, staffing, controlling and directing practices adopted in China. As Chinese business culture is rooted in a distinctive indigenous philosophical and cultural heritage dating back thousands of years, dear students, many foreign business people may find it challenging to understand Chinese managerial ideology because the business culture in China has been constantly evolving due to the social, political and economic development in recent decades. Now, dear students, in order to overcome all these things, first let us try to understand the business environment and culture of China. Dear students, now let us try to understand the business environment and culture of China. The first important environmental factor is personal contact. The most important trait the Chinese executive have is that it's not their education or experience, but the network of personal contacts. That is, one may refer to this as their social capital, as it is used for professional advancement. This network consists of family, it may be colleagues or university acquaintances or co-workers with whom they are working. Then comes the second important environmental and cultural factor, my dear students, the intermediary. Due to the history of numerous invasions, the Chinese are very untrusting and suspicious of anyone who come from outside. On the other hand, they have a certain sense of superiority. So, this double component of mistrust and superiority makes it almost mandatory for foreign companies to use an intermediary in order to negotiate with the Chinese business. Then comes hierarchy, that is respect and obedience to one's superior are essential values in Chinese culture. Then comes harmony in relationships, that is agreements are achieved only if personal relationships is based on respect, friendship and positive feelings are developed. That is, it takes time to build these relationships, and in order to do this one must travel various times to the country and engaged in numerous meetings. There is always resistance in their work, my dear students. This is an important environmental and cultural factor of China, that is resistance and capacity for hard work is valued more than talent or creativity. So, resistance and capacity for hard work is extremely valued more than talent and creativity. They work hard on the preparation, analyzing every topic that is going to be negotiated. They prefer long sessions during which both sides exchange many questions, often repetitive ones. They are very patient during the negotiation and delay taking the final decision as much as possible as a pressure strategy. Finally, dear students, savings, that is China has one of the highest saving rates both in their professional and personal life. They resort to extreme negotiation tactics, that is they use aggressive bargaining tactics, often hitting extremely low prices, much lower than they are realistically willing to accept, simply as tactics to weaken their counterparts. Now, finally, my dear students, let us discuss the management practices adopted in China. First, we will start with the planning function. Chinese managers use both short-term and long-term orientation in their planning. Decision making is done by highest level of hierarchy. Top-down approach is thus adopted in Chinese organizations. Then comes the organizing function, dear students. Major responsibilities are assumed at individual level. Some responsibilities are shared collectively by all team members in the project. Formal organization structure is adopted. Most of the organizations have bureaucratic structure. Employees identify themselves with the company, but often lack intensive competitive spirit. Then comes the staffing function, dear students. Most of the employees are hired from schools and other education institutions. A few employees are also hired from other companies. Promotion system is slow, but salary increments are regular. Performance reviews are normally done once in a year. Employees are provided with 5-year plan and also a long-term as well as short-term targets. Promotion are based on performance, potential, ability and education. Good relation with top managers are important, and management conducts training programs for the employees. Coming to the direction function, dear students, leader is the head of the specific group or a community. Leading style is often directive, like parent-children relationship. Values are common and emphasis is on harmony. Communication is top-down. Then controlling is done by group leaders or superiors. Use of quality circles and work committee etc. is limited. Although people realize the need for change, managers and top management in the hierarchy resist reform. They fear that they would lose their authority, power and other privileges. So, in conclusion, my dear students, managers now need to think globally even while operating in the domestic market. Organizations are losing out market shares even in the domestic market because of competition from foreign companies. Hence, understanding management with a global perspective has now become important. So, in today's telelesson, we have learned management practices of USA, management practices of China and management practices in Japan. Thank you.